Alright, I want to give my bit on HTML5 and Flash. There's been quite a lot of discussion and debate regarding HTML5 and Flash. It's another one of those DirectX versus OpenGL, and Mac versus PC. One of the many, many debates within the universe of computer technology. Right out the gate, I want to say that HTML5 is not going to supplant Flash anytime soon. I'm sure many of you have read the many reasons, the Flash being ubiquitous and the many features of Flash, and then HTML5 coming back at Flash and saying, well, we can do this too, and so on and so forth. To put it simply, many of the technologies within Flash are not quite fully cooked within HTML5. HTML5 is an open standard, and to make an analogy with OpenGL 3.0, Spec 3.0, took a lot of pain and working and decision making, and sometimes open standards, the internal discussions and arguments perhaps, different views of direction between those that are in charge of these open standards can sometimes slow it down. Not only that, having the technology out there that HTML5 is going to have to overcome many of the same hurdles that Flash did in its endeavors to be where it's at today. And my own personal use of Flash, I really hated Flash when it first came out. I was big in using document object model and JavaScript and all HTML languages, and then getting into ActiveX or using Perl script with CGI to get interactivity and things. And I would always make wagers with my other colleagues that were on the Flash bandwagon to say, hey, I'll create the same amount of media experience that you're gonna do with Flash, and we'd go at it. Eventually Flash began to make things a hell of a lot easier, and their production times were a lot faster, and then it created its own little environment where beyond just a plugin, it had its own backend, it had its own streaming servers, which was a huge deal in terms of people that had very slow bandwidth. Fine, we're not going to let them wait for the entire download, we'll just stream it to them, and so on and so forth. So Flash has given a tremendous amount of advantage, and we'll always go down the history books of being one of the media types that has given and supported shifts in the direction of where our internet and internet-based experience have gone. So HTML5 comes up, and obviously it's very impressive. We have all these animations going on and very similar media experiences. That's great. If you're looking for me, in my opinion, on, well, Apple is correct in not wanting to use Flash, or Apple is wrong, I'm really indifferent on it. Companies can choose really what direction they want to go for. I will say that Flash can be resource intensive and can be very unstable in its responsiveness to, yes, one of the whole multi-touch scenario. I would say that HTML5 is also going to have some of its own problems dealing with multi-touch and things like that. It's not like there's anything that can't be rectified in either case, whether it is Flash or HTML5. It just depends on the programming direction that the standard or a company decides to take the respective products. For my personal own use, I don't use Flash on my iPhone, so the absence of Flash on the iPad is not even a big deal for me at all. For me, it's not a requirement to have. But there are many consumers out there that Flash is part of their everyday lives, and it is ubiquitous enough to state that it should be heavily considered to be put into a product. Apple's always known to kind of create their own type of curve in the market, and so there are many iPhones that are selling, and Flash is still not supported on the iPhone, while there are many users that do jailbreak their iPhone. I don't believe that Flash has been an obstacle or something that stopped the growth of the iPhone's market share. There are going to be diehard people out there that'll say they'll never buy an Apple product so long as Flash is not supported, and so be it. But getting back to the technology and leaving the whole iPad discussion, HTML5's got a long way to go. It's an open standard, and they're going to have to go through their own hurdles and dealing with what codec gets used and all this other things. All this information is widely available, and I don't really want to rehash what other great videos are out there. But I will say that there are things specific to Flash that, quite frankly, I think might take quite a bit little longer in production to do in HTML5 versus Flash. There are things that I myself find and have witnessed in other projects where a hybrid of Flash is used with code for little things like progress bars and uploaders and stuff like that, or seem to be easier and standard because Flash is, let's say, more ubiquitous than even some server-side scripting languages have. And that can be the choice of the ISP or the internet access provider and hosting. They simply aren't up to speed on maybe the latest server-side scripting languages out there that can sometimes mimic some of the things that are just there with Flash. So whether you're die-hard HTML5 or Flash, I would say at this point it's really early in the stage, and you need to give it some time before you start seeing things separate, and I think before arguments get more serious about the technology, because quite frankly Adobe can take a whole new direction and rewrite many parts of Flash in itself, and HTML5 could either get a huge advancement or a pushback. And the same can go with Flash. I just really think it's too early in either case to say, ooh, one's going to kill the other, or vice versa. Anyway, thanks for watching.